Hi, fellow traders. I hope everybody had a good day today and that you didn't fall asleep at your computers because this was a pretty good snoozer of a day. Not a whole lot happening. It is a holiday here in the U.S. It is Columbus Day for the few people that celebrate it, but just made for a pretty slow day. I did take one day trade. Uh, I jumped in at pre-market, so I didn't trade it in Sure Trader. I didn't get a response from them until after the open that they were fully functional and back up and running. So, which they never really were down, but I'm the type person where, if your office is closed, even though your platform is automated, if something happens and I can't get out, and I didn't know how our weather was going to turn either, so I didn't want to get stuck fooling with that thing. And it's just whenever you get into that situation, you just want to be smart. No matter how bad you want to trade, you want to protect your capital first. And that's what my priority is protecting my capital. But I did take Twitter, and really to show you what I was looking at. Really, it came from the daily chart. I saw that it had gapped down, and I saw we were below the 200, and right here at this 1752 level. So everything sitting right on top of it, it looked like a prime candidate to fade at the open, at least down to this level here, down to 1676. And because it looks so good, that's why I put in chat that I'm looking to get in this early. Because if it fails to push the VWAP, then I'm getting in it early. And really the VWAP and everything was sitting right at this level. Go back to the chart. It was sitting right here. Everything was sitting right here at this 1752 level. So when it rejected it, I went ahead and got short right here. I did chase it down a little bit. I wanted to get in closer to 50, but we had a little wash and I didn't know if it was going to come back. So I went ahead and got in at 1738. It was still within my range, to use 1752 as my stop or the VWAP, and all of that being the same, it didn't matter. If it closed above VWAP, it would close above 1752. And just didn't get the resolve I expected. At the open, I expected this thing to wash out very quickly down to 1676 for me to cover. And then I was going to hit the reset button and wait to see what this thing did after the open. Because if it kept fading, once it lost this 1644, we've got a all-time low here. Let's go back to the daily chart. We've got a 52-week low right here, 1373. We've got 14, then we got 1373. We got a nice window of opportunity in here. So, I was licking my chops thinking that this thing was gonna wash out worse than it did, but it didn't. Only got minimal gains on this. I managed it as best I could. I waited and waited and waited. We did get a cover here. Let me blow this up some more. I did get an opportunity to cover here. My goal was to make my first cover here at 17, but because this thing was moving so slow and it was very disappointing the way it was trading, I ended up taking some here at 17, 18. I took a quarter here and then another quarter here at 70. At 16. At 17. I'm sorry. Took another quarter here at 17, and was still looking for the wash down here to 1676. But it just never got there. And once I lost the 9 right here, I went ahead and took the rest of it off at 1714. So, still a decent trade, still green, but nowhere near what I wanted for this. For the time that I invested in it, it just didn't follow through. So the other trade I took was ACIA, and that was my swing from Friday. And if you didn't watch the video I did Friday, the whole setup on ACIA and the news and how I analyzed it is on that video. So I'm not going to go back over it. But you can see I did get in here pre-market. I got in. This was just a bad entry at 101.21. And then I added at 102. And it did turn against me pretty bad. But the thing about swing trading is I don't manage this off the daily chart. Off the intraday chart. I manage it off the daily chart. So I'm not watching this mess, here. Now, yeah, it came close. 105 was my line in the sand, and it did come within $1 or so of getting that, but, it never did, and it finally sold off. Now, this morning, what I was looking at and what scared me a little bit or concerned me, was that we reclaimed this 128 level. And we were actually trading around or a little bit above the VWAP here. So I was concerned that I might have lost this trade. But I was still ready to let it test this 103 level. Here's a 200 coming in up here. So I felt I had decent resistance above to keep this from running away from me. And so I went ahead and flipped it off. I started watching the daily chart again. And then when the alert went off saying that it was close to my first cover point, and I mentioned this Friday that I was looking for 97 for my first cover and then hold for the big washout. But I wanted to take advantage of this. It was washing out. It flew through 97. So I was holding on to it. But I almost continued to hold this thing. But I told myself, you got to stick to your plan. This thing may turn around. You need to go ahead and take it off. Your target was 97. So I took it off at 96.03, which gave me an extra point. That's not bad. But I need to not get out of the habit of sticking to my plan. Because even though this went my way, this thing could have easily gone and ran the other way. And, took some of my profit ability away. But yeah, I could have gotten another 4 points out of this today. But, that's just the way it goes. You have to stick to your plan, and I'm okay with my decision. Now let's go back to the daily chart. And so I can show you what I was looking at today. Really today, I wanted it to take out this 97 where I can cover here and then close below it. And this is the big window I'm looking for. I'm looking for this thing to possibly get to 76.88. Now I know they gave a public offering at 100, but I really think this company's in trouble based on what I said Friday. And I think we're going to get down here. I think we're going to wash some more. If not, worst case scenario, I will stop back out on this 97. Right now, this is where my profit stop's going to be. I'm not going to give up the good profit that I have just to be stubborn. And if I get out and if it fails this 97, then I'll try to find more shares to short and, for the room down, hopefully. I doubt I can find them because I think everybody had the same idea I had. or they kind of got the same analysis from the news, because I can only get 600 shares. I wanted 1,000. They could only find me 600, and I had to take what I can get. There's not a whole lot of shares to short out there on this, or there wasn't at that time, and they were just scooped up. So I was very fortunate to get this early, because had I waited to open, I would have been a sitting duck. I wouldn't have anything. So this is where I am right now. I did cover. This is a good 5. I think this was, I can't remember. I think it was $5.44 I made on this first cover. And it could get 10. I guess if it had hit 10 today, I probably would have done it just because. But I got my head back on straight, and I'm gonna let this thing work and follow my plan. So we'll see what we get tomorrow and see how it opens up. The other stock I'm looking at now for a swing is eBay. I didn't enter it today because I was looking for it to hold this 20. You can see Friday we had a big sell-off, and it got bought back up, and it held the 50-day moving average. And today it gapped up at the 20. But if it held, I was going to look to take this long, because what happened today is there was some unusual activity alert that came out on eBay. There was, Option Monster is something I look at, because even though I don't trade options, it's something that will help you with your swing trading. And I'll explain this to you, explaining this eBay theory that I had. So it came out that over 6,000 October 32 calls were bought today. And this is new buying. This isn't flipping. This is brand new buying. And between 120 and 141. And the volume, the strikes open interest was 3,399 contracts. So this buying today almost double that. And whenever this happens, I'm looking for, or I think the people that did all this buying is expecting a breakout. And I know earnings comes out on October 19th. It comes out after the close on October 19th. And the October 32 call expires on the 21st. So I think these guys are looking for this to break out. And I think it has something to do with earnings. It may be that somebody knows something, maybe somebody's speculating. But my theory is that this is going to try to break out prior to earnings. I don't plan on holding it through earnings. I'm planning on trying to catch the breakout prior to earnings. And I'm expecting it to break over this 52-week high here of 33.19. You can see we had this big gap up, and we had this set up here, this flag set up, and we had a breakout from the flag, and it made a new high here. 32.81 was the new high on 9/8. Then we had another pullback. It held a higher low here, and it tried to push this 32.38 again. It failed, but we held a higher low. And then we had this gap up day, and it pushed and made a new high, 33.19. So we did have this, this candle, this gap down, and it opened here, but it got bought right back up. Then we had another sell-off, and right here, it sold off, but the 50 claimed, it claimed the 50, it held. Then we had this gap up today, so that's what I'm looking for. I'm not saying that I'm wrong. I mean, I'm right that this is going to happen. This is what I'm looking for. And I'm not an options trader, but I'm learning how to read the news and how to read the options news so that I could use it to help me make better swing trading decisions. And, that's my decision. So we'll see tomorrow. If this thing opens, if as long as it doesn't gap up over this, if it gaps up a little bit and it opens strong, then I'll probably get in it for a swing. And I'll probably use this this 20 moving average as my stop. That if I lose this tomorrow at close, then I will stop out. But I'm really interested in this eBay. I'm really intrigued. I'm not sure what's going on. I know something's going on. And that's just the feeling I have. So that was it for me today. Um, Hopefully tomorrow everybody will be back at work. Things will be back to normal. And we can finally get some big moves in the stock market. I mean, I am ready for this thing to take off and start, logging some good trades. But I do want to thank everybody who sent me information on all the recording software. I'm going to keep going through that. And I had to do a lot of cleanup this weekend, so I didn't get a chance to work with anything, but I will start tonight so I can get back. I really want to record this. I almost thought about live streaming it, but I'm not a cool and collected and calm customer, so live streaming might not be the best family environment. So I'm gonna stick to recording it with no sound, and then I can voice over it. But hope everybody has a great evening, a great night, and we will see you bright and early tomorrow in chat.